All right, I got the all clear. So thanks, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for your patience as we kick off the IGF 2020. It's always a challenge with day 0, 9 a.m. For everybody to find the room, find their way around the venue, get through security, and as you see, get rid of some of the tech gremlins that we have sometimes. My name's Jim Prendergast. I'm with the Galway Strategy Group. I'm going to sort of moderate this session for you. Officially it's titled How to Develop Trustworthy Products and Policies. But the folks at Google sort of have an internal nickname for it. It's called Project Manager for a Day. What we essentially want to do is give you an overview of what it's like to be a product manager at Google. How do you balance all the different challenges when it comes to launching a product into the marketplace? All the different factors that these folks have to take into consideration before you actually see a product, and some of the different feedback cycles that it goes through, and some of the challenges that, frankly, you face on a day-to-day basis. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our two speakers. We have one speaker here in person and then one speaker online. And then they're going to give a quick overview of some case studies to sort of show you what they deal with on a regular basis. And they'll discuss some of the different considerations that do go into the product development. And then next what we'll do is we're going to do essentially two breakout groups. One will be the in-person participation, folks here in the room. Will's going to work with you through some tabletop exercises for about 20-25 minutes. And then Najia's going to, fingers crossed, work with the online participants to accomplish the same. From a technical standpoint, I think the easiest way to not hear the people talking to each other online is for all of us to take our headsets off. That seems to be the shortest way to solve that tech issue with the online and the offline participants and ensuring remote participation, which of course is an important aspect of the IGF. So let me get going here and do some introductions. First we have Will Carter. Will's an AI policy expert with extensive experience shaping government policies and regulations on AI, working with product teams to develop and deploy AI responsibly in real-world applications. Currently works on leading AI policy in the knowledge and information team at Google, where he leads engagement on AI policy and regulatory standards with senior policymakers around the world. He's advised senior leadership and C-suite executives on AI policy strategy and implementation, and developed and implemented AI policies and governance across the company. Prior to joining Google, he was with the Center for Strategic and International Studies, where he focused his research on international technology policy issues, including emerging technologies and artificial intelligence. So if you got a question about AI, this is your guy. Joining us remotely is Nadia Blagojevich. She's based in London. She is a knowledge and information trust manager at Google with over 15 years of experience in the tech industry. She's an expert in online safety and digital literacy, and she's held various leadership positions at Google, including leading work across Europe on family safety and content responsibility. So with that, what I'm going to do is throw it over to Nadia to kick us off with the case studies to help set the stage for us. Nadia?
Great. Thanks very much, Jim. And thank you very much, everyone, for being with us here this morning. So without further ado, we will jump right in. I'm very excited to be talking with you all about what product managers do at a company like Google. And as with most jobs, there's no one right way to do it. If you ask 100 people, you'll probably get 100 different answers. But there are some common elements that we will talk about today. So you can think of a product manager as the person who's responsible for figuring out, at its core, what the problem is that needs to be solved. Sometimes it's very easy to identify what a problem is. For example, once word processors were built, it was fairly obvious that a spell checker would be an improvement. But some things can be less obvious. For example, with Google Street View, when we first launched, it wasn't clear to the degree to which seeing a location before a drive or a trip or contemplating a move could be. This feature was a less obvious addition to an online map, and it solved a problem that most people didn't even realize that they had. So the PM focuses on identifying that problem And then building out a vision, a strategy, and a roadmap. The vision should really be informed by the problem that you're trying to solve. It should be a stable, long term, high level overview of what that problem is and really how you're going to tackle it. The strategy helps you navigate and leverage the technology and the ecosystem factors that will be playing out over the lifetime of your product. Your strategy should be relatively stable. And your roadmap is really thinking about how you sequence what you're going to do to build your specific feature and move towards your vision. Your roadmap usually changes pretty frequently. In consumer tech, if you build a roadmap and it's accurate for a year, you're very lucky. PMs partner really closely to coordinate teams and deliver the right features, right data, users, sales, marketing at all the right times in the product development lifecycle. We really try to make sure that we are also the ultimate champions of our products, both inside the company and externally. Um, and the goal is really to make sure that we're building something of value so that our broader teams and stakeholders can evangelize what we build as well. As product managers, we work really closely with our colleagues in user experience, which is sometimes abbreviated as UX, to iteratively design and validate what we're building at progressively higher levels of fidelity. It's very expensive to change something that's fully developed, but it's very inexpensive to put a wireframe or a rough sketch of a product in front of someone that we want to use the product and ask questions like, would you use this? What will you use it for? What doesn't make sense? What's missing? It can be really amazing, but these small changes in language and wording, and also, insights can lead to huge impacts in adoption. And lastly, but certainly not least, are our engineer counterparts. Engineers build and maintain products. They make them work reliably and quickly for users. And both UX and Eng are included when we do our road mapping and strategy setting. Um, we build better plans and roadmaps when we have all three functions working together from the get-go to sort of build out that roadmap and set the strategy and vision. As Jim mentioned, we'll go through a couple of quick case studies to give you a sense of how we approach product development, walking through a couple of features that we've developed here at Google. Talking now about AI overviews. Um,
Nadia, could I just interrupt real quick? To the guys in
yeah,
the back, can we display the slides in the Zoom and on the screen? Is that possible? There we go. Okay.
great. Thanks very much. And if we could just advance to the next slide, please. We'll just go right into our AI overviews case study. Great. So, building on our years of innovation and leadership in search, AI overviews are part of Google's approach to provide helpful responses to queries from people around the world. They use generative AI to provide key information about a topic or a question. And they were really designed to show up on queries where they can add additional benefit beyond what people might already be getting from search, where we have high confidence in the overall quality of the responses. So, for example, if you look on the query to the right of the screen, you can see that AI overviews let you ask more complex questions. This query is asking for help on how to stand out on a first-time apartment application. And you can see you get a really nuanced answer. You get corroborating links here and additional resources to dive in and learn more. You get that kind of information and extra help in a very digestible way. You can see here the user experience elements and the design with the bullet points, for example, or the placement of the links in this response. And on the next slide, talking a little bit about that sort of bar of high quality. For AI overviews, we've designed it to only show information that's supported by high quality results from across the web, meaning that generally AI overviews don't hallucinate in the ways that other LLM experiences might. Um, We think this is important kind of across the board, but also especially important for queries that might be particularly sensitive for a given reason. And for these kinds of queries, whether they're about something maybe health related or finance related, or seeking certain types of advice, we have an even higher quality bar for showing information from reliable sources. We also have built into the product that for these queries, AI overviews will inform people when it's important to seek out expert advice or to verify the information that's being presented. And then finally here, we also have a set of links and a display panel here on the right-hand side with more additional resources for relevant web pages right within the text of the AI overviews. And we've seen really positive results showing these links to supporting pages directly within AI overviews is driving higher traffic to publisher sites. And because of AI overviews, we're seeing that people are asking longer questions, diving more deeply into complex subjects, and uncovering new perspectives, which means more opportunities for people to discover content from publishers, from businesses, and from creators. I'll hand over now to Will to talk about this image.
Thanks, Nadia. And thank you all for coming today. I'm going to talk a little bit about another feature that we launched in 2023 called About This Image. Google Search has built-in tools that really are designed to help users find high-quality information, but also to make sense of the information that they're interacting with online. And About This Image and SynthID are designed to help users understand the context and the credibility of images they're interacting with online, including understanding if those tools have been generated, or if those images have been generated by Google's AI tools. So with Google image search results, you can click on the 3 dots above the image, and that'll show you the image's history, which includes when it was first seen by Google Search, whether it's been on other pages in the past. That can be really helpful. For example, if an image is taken out of context, maybe it's been reused in what appears to be a story about current events in a way that's misleading. It also shows how other sites use and describe the image. So you might be seeing it in the context of a news story described as related to a current event. It might actually be described differently on other sites that accurately describe the original context and origin of the image. And it allows you to really understand the evidence and perspectives across a variety of sources related to the image. And finally, it allows you to see the image's metadata. So increasingly, publishers, content creators, and others are adding metadata, tags that provide additional information and context about an image that can provide a variety of information, including whether or not it's been generated, enhanced, or manipulated by AI, which is increasingly important to understand as powerful image generation and image alteration engines are widely available. So one of the key ways that we do this is using a tool called SynthID, which is a tool for watermarking and identifying AI-generated content. Basically, what this does is it embeds a digital watermark directly into the pixels of an image generated by Google's AI image generation tools. That's important because even when the image has been altered, for example, by cropping it or screenshotting it, or resizing or recoloring or flipping the image, those watermarks can still be detected, making it more robust to adversarial behavior. And all images made with Google's consumer AI tools are marked with SynthID. And that means that if you encounter an image through Google Search that is generated by a Google AI tool, you will be able to see that in About This Image. So this last GIF here shows how we've recently integrated About This Image into one of our other products, Circle to Search. So Circle to Search allows you to select something on the screen and access additional information about it. In this case, you can circle an image and get About This Image information to get context about images that you interact with online, which can be a really powerful way, again, to really understand that context and make sure that that the image that you're interacting with is being used in the way that was intended, with appropriate context, and accurately. So I'll pass back to Jim for our activity.
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Will. So, sort of just give you a high level of all the different things that product managers have to consider working with their teams, the privacy rights, the, some of the metadata you talked about with the image. So what we're going to do now, I realize it's early. Hopefully you've all had your coffee and are ready to be a little interactive, is we're going to break out into 2, maybe 3 breakout groups. I'd figure 2 in the physical room and 1 in the online room, just based upon how many folks we have. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to think a little bit for about 15 minutes or so, come up with some ideas. There'll be some instructions on the next slide that Will's going to walk you through, and then what we'll do is we'll come back and share some ideas and thoughts for the final 15 minutes or so. So, Will, why don't you show them what they're working with?
All right. So basically, we're going to have you break out into groups and nominate 1 PM. That's going to be the person who's kind of leading and presenting on behalf of your group. You pick an area of focus, and we have a couple of options for you, but you're welcome to pick something else if you prefer. But info quality, news, and privacy are some of the areas that we are actively working on every day. So the idea is, come up with an idea. Come up with a feature that you think we could add to Google search to address one of these issues, or make up your own product. Then you'll pitch your ideas to your VPs, that's us, and argue for resources based on what you need in order to make this real, what you think the return on investment that you could generate from this product. And that doesn't necessarily just mean how do you make money from it, but also how do you add value for the user, address a specific problem that our users are encountering in the way that they engage with our products. And don't forget about the various things that you're going to need to make this a reality. So that's that UXR and Eng support that Nadia was talking about earlier. But also, what is your go-to-market strategy? What are your success metrics? What is a realistic timeline or roadmap? You'll have about 15 or 20 minutes to do this activity, and Nadia and I will be engaging with your groups to help you work through this exercise. So good luck, and maybe, what do you think? We can, yep. Okay, maybe we can divide right about here. So in the red, right there, you to this side, everyone else to that side. We can have our 2 groups in the room.
All right, and Will's going to come down and prime the creative engine for everybody, and then Nadia's got the online folks as well. So we'll come back in 15 minutes and share experiences. And I know there was a question that we had in the chat room, and we'll answer that when we come back from the breakout as well. Thanks.
Great. And so for everyone online, could you please try coming off mute and saying good morning?
Hello and good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Basically, we are in Norway right now, but we arrived early in the morning. We could attend the session. So
I see.
hybrid right now, and then we'll attend the afternoon sessions in person. We're from Kuwait. We're from the Communication and Information Technology Regulatory Authority, etc. My name is Hassan Al-Mahmid, and I'm in charge of the cctld.kw.
Wonderful. It's wonderful to have you with us. Are others able to come off of mute?
Hi, Nadia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi. This is Nidhi, and I'm joining in from India. So, hello. I am an academician, and I'm doing my PhD, and somewhere lies between, tech and public policy and, various areas of ethics. So, I'm very happy to be here. Good to see you.
Wonderful. Great to see you as well. All right, wonderful. It's good to know that everyone's able to come off mute. At this point, I'd like to ask everyone to please unmute yourself because for the next few minutes, we'll be having a group discussion, which I will not be leading. That will fall to you all. So as Will and Jim mentioned, for this next session in the breakout, you will be brainstorming an idea as product managers. And it can be related to Google search, it can be related to another Google product, or just any technology idea that you think solves a problem. Can everyone please come off mute?
Yeah, please just confirm if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Akhdar. I'm from India. So I'm working as an internet governance intern at National Internet Exchange of India. So I work somewhere in between tech and policy.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'll pose the question to the group. When you think about a product that you would like to build or a problem that you would like to solve, what springs to mind? And this is open to the entire group, please.
Well, I do really have a lot of real case scenarios and some projects undergoing right now. We can get, I can share some information with you, and maybe if you guys are interested to help us develop the appropriate policies or get insights from you for the upcoming products in the .kw domain space. If you're interested, I can pitch the idea for you guys and move with it. Or otherwise, I'm really open to work with the other team members on other ideas. At the end, it's all gonna benefit us all on the way of how we're gonna think of building the policies and what aspects we need to consider when making a strong and cohesive policies.
Great. Other thoughts from the group?
I think if I heard Hassan correctly, that he has an idea and probably like to share that with us, and we can sort of pitch that together. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I do have some ideas from our day job. We I can share with you. For example, since we are in charge of the .kw domain space, we are thinking of implementing AI tools to help us make the registration process for domain names in Kuwait a faster and easy process. With the benefit of AI, we can process these domain requests almost immediately without wait for someone to look up at the documents and make all the choices. So just I'll give you a brief of how the domain space works in Kuwait. We do have two zones to register. We have, for example, if you would like to register name.com.kw, since we have the extension .com.kw, it represents a commercial entity in Kuwait. So there are some set of requirements for that entity to register, such as having a valid trade license in Kuwait. They have to have a representative in Kuwait. Someone either is going to be a Kuwaiti citizen or someone with a work permit in Kuwait. So these kind of documentations are being right now manually uploaded throughout the portal, and then it has to be checked by a person to validate all the information and making sure that the domain registration request is valid. But we are thinking of implementing right now AI tools and some sort of integration between the government entities, so to make the process seamless, and we can have the domain up and running within minutes instead of for example 48 hours right now.
Great. And when you think about building out this AI tool, what kind of resources do you think you would need to be able to develop it? And this is a sort of a question for the group.
I can give them a hint, basically. The process is going to be similar somehow. Like the client who would like to register a domain name, they will need at the moment to upload their trade license. Okay. Once this is uploaded, we can use some image recognition tool to validate the document and make sure it's not a fraudulent document. One of the regulations and the policies we have in Kuwait that the domain name is being registered for the commercial entity, it has to be matching the name of the entity in the commercial trade license. So we can, with that image recognition tool or text recognition tool, it can match the requested domain name, for example, with the name in the trade license. And if it finds a conflict, it shouldn't reject the request. It should like pop up some sort of suggestions for the client to pick names from. That's one example.
Mm-hmm. And what kinds of sort of internal partnerships, which departments do you think, whether that's UXR or engineering, would you need to work with legal departments? Who would you need to work with to be able to have the tool be able to do what you've just described?
Mm-hmm. Well, we enjoy at our department that it's a one-man show. So basically, we do set the policies and we do have control of the technical aspects of
Mm-hmm.
the whole registration process. But we do seek some help from the legal department, that's for sure, because we have to set some sort of like guideline when uploading these documents, and we need to check with the legal department what kind of document we should accept and how to handle these informations and sensitive information. Whether it's going to be confidential data, it can be shared, what kind of level of confidentiality with these documents being uploaded, how to be handled, and whether we can share them with the third parties or not.
Mm-hmm. Yes, great. I mean, data privacy and data security seem like they'd be very essential for the product development process. When you think about sort of timeline, do you have an estimated time frame for how long something like this might take to develop?
Usually, these sort of tools are, what the beauty of it, there are a lot of out-of-shelf solution ready to be picked up and integrated. So we are expecting around 6 months, to be honest. This is the time frame to have it done in technical aspect. But since we are working with governmental entities here, and maybe we need some governmental integration. You know how the government sometimes the time might extend to more than 6 months. 6 months is
Yes,
more optimistic.
I like that very much.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
so
like we always encourage optimism, even though if the entire repetition of government work that takes a lot of time, we always push for more efficiency and faster time, even though.
All right. I think this is great. I think maybe we have a hand raised.
yeah, so I had an opinion on that.
Sure, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so basically what Hassan is saying is there needs, if what I'm understanding is right, he's saying there needs to be a capacity building, like making the public servants familiar with this and integrating this AI into their framework. Right? Is that right? What I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
You'll have to train the public servants on how to use these tools. Basically there needs to be a capacity building.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of training on how to use these tools and how. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Does
This
anyone
is
on the
Jim in
call
the room. I
have
just want to give you.
ideas about what we should ask our vice presidents for in terms of resources to develop this kind of capacity building?
We should tell them to be patient.
I agree with that.
Because yeah, the process takes time and you'll have to be patient. And Hassan, if you are looking into some global case studies, then you can look into Argentina. They also have some similar program to this.
Thank you for the insight. We have a couple of success stories in the region, mostly in United Arab Emirates. They do have implemented some AI tools, and I believe also Qatar, also they have that sort of tools. We are in talks with them at the moment to benefit from their experience. Since we are like in the GCC countries in the Middle East, the Gulf countries, we almost share the same policies, and we have also the same structure for domain names. So it's much easier like to get experience from these countries, whoever advance more, and they're being very helpful. But definitely, we're gonna look into Argentina, and we have also looked into the Australian. Australia also they had a really great roadmap for domain name, very beneficial also.
I think we'll be rejoining the group in about 2 minutes. And so when we go back into the main group, Hassan, would you like to present as the product manager? The
Yeah,
idea of this group?
definitely. But I would love to hear.
Hassan is our representative.
Yes, great. Any final thoughts from anyone else on the call, or questions or points that we think should be
2-minute
made
warning
as
for those in the room.
Hassan
2
pitches
minutes.
this idea?
There should be. You should communicate what you're doing to the public, because since it's a public sector, you'll have to communicate with them even the failures as well. So, to build trust.
Great. Akhtar, do you have suggestions of how to do that?
No, as you're doing, you can just give out small press briefings and something like that even on your websites.
Yeah, definitely. We do usually have some press releases and briefs sometimes whenever we enable a new features in .kw namespace. For example, last year in September when we released the roadmap for registering second level domain name, that's mean your name .kw direct without .com or .org. And I think it's just going to be your name and .kw. We have released the roadmap on how you're going to register these domain names and what are the bases it's going to be released on. So basically, yeah, we do regular press releases whenever we have new features. And this is one of the best ways to communicate with the public here. Aside from social media.
Yeah, because they are the ultimate users, so you'll also need their interaction and their feedbacks. So if there's no interaction, you'll not get proper feedback, and you might lag behind.
Yeah, and one thing that came to my mind, we are in the process of releasing a dispute resolution policy for domain names in Kuwait, and it's the national dispute resolution policy. When we released that policy, we seeked public consultation We have released the drive on the websites, and we gave participants around 60 days to participate and give their idea on what are the policies and what has to be changed or improved. And we have received really good feedback from the public.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. Yeah. And 60 days is a good time frame.
Yes, and
For
this
them
is
to go through all
this
those
is the approach we're doing in Citra Kuwait. Citra Kuwait basically is the TRA, Regulatory Authority for Information and Communication. So right now, whenever we release a new policy, we push it to the public consultation to get feedback, and then we analyze, get the feedbacks, and
Hey, Will?
improve, and then we release the final version.
Right. Good to hear.
Great. So it sounds like we will be rejoining the main group in just a second. And so Hassan will be our representative presenting the product idea. And we'll also hear from the other two groups that have been workshopping their product ideas in person at IGF.
Yeah, Hassan, make us
Everyone,
proud.
I hate to break up
Yeah.
the creative
Don't worry.
process, especially at this hour since it's going, but we do need to come back because they are going to throw us out at 10 o'clock. I promised all.
We're only like 10 minutes away from the forum, by the way.
Oh, great.
Well, it's now raining, and then after this session, yeah, we will join you guys on the floor, inshallah.
Okay, hello everybody in the
Wonderful. Great
online
chance to
world.
meet up in person.
Can you all hear us in the online world? Nadia,
I'm
can-
joining in from India, so I'm not lucky.
Okay. Nadia, can you hear us from where you are?
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
great. Well, I was listening actually to all three groups, and I was impressed that the creative juices got flowing at this hour, in particular with all the jet lag and everything else. So, congratulations to everybody who partook. Will, you want to share some insights before we ask for? Actually, let me ask you the question while the other groups get organized and prepared to read out to us. So, the question that did come in before the break was, how do you scrape high quality content? And what are the parameters of what you call high quality? And while Will is answering that, each group spokesperson get ready to give us like a 2 to 3 minute readout from your deliberations. Thanks.
I wish there was a simple answer to this question. This is something that we struggle with every day, and that remains an area of significant innovation and investment for Google. There are a few approaches that we are taking currently, and like I said, they just continue to evolve all the time as we try to figure out how to do this better and better. One way is to work with fact-checking organizations around the world that can validate information for us and do additional research, and those partnerships are really key. Another way is to identify news sources that are consistently providing high quality information, that are independent and that are generally reliable and validated by fact checkers. But really, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing that we do is provide context to our users as much as we can about where the information that they're interacting with came from. So that's providing additional links, providing counter arguments, providing access to metadata and additional information, because there is no one metric or one definition of high quality content, and there's no one accepted, source of truth for this. And so I think empowering users to really understand the content that they're interacting with and make their own informed decisions about what to believe and what not to believe is the most important thing that we can do.
Okay, great. So if I can, I'm going to call on the group to my left to maybe go first, and then we'll go to the online group and then the group to the right. So did you nominate a spokesperson or? Okay, great. There should be a mobile microphone, right? I put it on the table. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. You said 2 minutes? Okay. So in our group, we discussed a feature that would be added to Google search results that include news articles. And the goal of the feature is to give users information about the validity of the news article, some kind of flag or visual signal to show them if they're looking at something trustworthy. We specifically talked about identifying news that can be known to be false or known to be generated by AI. And we would, if we are able to determine that, add a flag to show that to users that they are looking at something that is AI generated. And they could still view it, but it would just be a kind of a visual cue. We discussed some of the ways to kind of generate this information using fact-checking organizations that are credible and based on the country or location where they're reviewing information. We talked a bit about some of the resources needed to do this. Of course, you need an engineering and UX team, but we also talked about kind of cultural competency and having a group or some type of experts on knowing news sources and what kind of the cultural dialogue is in different contexts, and also kind of the legal and legal framework to know that. And yeah, talking about the ROI of this feature, we talked about why a company like Google should incorporate this feature, and the ROI would be increasing trust in the product, giving users insight into the information they're looking at, which is something they're seeking and would be a unique value that would bring them to use Google search as opposed to other search engines, and generally increasing the trust in the product and making the user more able to rely on the information they're getting would encourage usage. And expected roadmap, we didn't really get that far, but this is the idea we came up with.
Great. No, that's you covered a lot of territory in a short period of time, especially with a cold start. So appreciate that. So I'm not sure who was nominated to represent the online participants, but we will unmute you if you try and talk. Or Nadia, do you recall who was your spokesperson?
Yes, that would be Hassan. Hassan, are you able to come off mute?
Hello and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Hassan Mahmoud. I'm from Sitra, Kuwait, which is basically the TRA for the country. I represent the .kw domain space in Kuwait. I'm in charge for the domain name registrations and the policy making. And with my colleagues in the online session, we have discussed a feature that would be added for .kw domain name registrations. For example, the current process right now, we do have two zones. We have a restricted zone for registration and unrestricted zone. What we mean by restricted, the third level domain names such as .com.kw, yourname.com.kw, it represents a commercial entity. So in order to, for example, to register a domain under .com.kw, you will have to fulfill some requirements, which are you have to be an official commercial entity in Kuwait with a valid trade license, and has to be registered by someone who's actually in Kuwait, based in Kuwait, either a Kuwaiti citizen or someone with a work permit. So the process right now is semi-manual, we would say, because who need to register a domain name, they need to upload some sort of documents like the trade license, their civil ID, for example, and these are being checked manually by one of the employees at the .kw domain space. And then we can grant the domain name registration. But we are looking into some other solutions that might make the process much faster, much easier. We are thinking of implementing AI tools to do this sort of scrubbing and checks. Because one condition, if you'd like to register a .com.kw domain name, the domain you select, it has to be matching with your trade license or your trademark license. So instead of doing that manually checking, we can have some sort of scrubbing that will check and the domain, the name of the license or the name of the trademark, and then it will process the request almost immediately. And in case of for example, whoever is registering a .com.kw is selecting a name that doesn't match the trademark or the license, we can, using the AI tool, would give them suggestions what are the appropriate domain names that can be registered.
Great. Thanks, Hassan. We are short on time. I'm getting the clock ticking down sign from Oliver in the back. So real briefly to our folks in the room on the right.
Yeah, I'll be very brief, seeing as that we're building on the product that was mentioned earlier, but on a public news classification. So, to what Will was saying about creating an informed audience, we would want to build on the, right now when you go on Google search, you have 3 dots when you come up with a news article that provides you some context about the news outlet. This feature isn't right now in the news aggregator tab when you go to Google News, so we'd like to build on that to have a classification where, based on like a little spectrum of either being like neutral content or sensationalist content, we would give users the information that they would need to make an informed decision on what they think is credible and trust. That's really hard to define internally and externally. Just again, building on the other team, we would work with, UX and engineering, but also leveraging subject matter expertise at Google, especially with the Google News Initiative team and also just Google News, to ensure that they're helping us build a framework that can then be taken to product. And in terms of ROI, well, of course, we want to drive user engagement, and by providing additional context and other links that within the Google ecosystem, they're able to continue staying on the platform and continuing to engage with the content that Google would provide. But also at the end of the day, it's about providing more context and building information quality online, again, subject to their own understanding of what they are being the users, but also what quality looks like in different political contexts. So yeah, I think we're all interested in news credibility.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a common theme, and this being the beginning of the IGF, I'm sure that's a theme that will carry on for the next several days. Will, I'm impressed. I mean, some really good ideas, some really good thoughts.
Definitely.
Do you want to react, and maybe between you, Nadia closes up in the next 90 seconds or so?
Sure, I'll keep it brief and then kick it over to Nadia. I think that there's a reason that these issues are top of mind. These are things that I think we're all struggling with on a day-to-day basis, whether it's companies like Google that are trying to solve these problems or users on the web that are trying to understand all this information that's inundating us every day and how to make sense of it and how to understand what is and isn't credible. You guys have come up with some really great ideas, and I think this gives you a sense of how, when you think of a problem that you interact with every day, how do you actually start to translate that into a product division, identify your needs, turn it into something that can actually work and solve that problem day to day? This is what we do at Google. This is exactly kind of what our workday looks like. So really excited to have you all participate in this process. Nadia?
Yes, just fully agree with Will. It is wonderful to be with you and hear everyone's ideas. And, these are all topics that we care very deeply about internally at Google. And we're very grateful for the opportunity to be here and be in dialogue with you all, to hear your points of view, to learn from you, and to share what we're doing, not only in terms of how we think about product development and design, and how we've approached some of these issues within our own suite of products, but also, to sort of share and be in exchange when it comes to, our philosophies, and, ultimately, these topics will need robust collaboration between public, private sector, academia, civil society. And so thank you very much for being with us right from the very beginning of day 0. And very much hope you enjoy the rest of your IGF.
Great. Thanks, Nadia. And speaking of collaboration, I'm getting the hook from Oliver in the back of the room. So thanks, everybody, for participating both online and in person. Will be here for the rest of the week. So if you have any questions, track him down. That's how these IGFs work if you've never been. So thanks, everybody,
Absolutely.
and have a great meeting.
Goodbye. Thank you, everyone.